in Columbus.
Phil Scoggins' path to broadcasting started in speech class at Lafayette High School in Northwest Georgia. His teacher used an old reel-to-reel machine to record her students. She suggested Phil's voice could serve him well in broadcasting. And so the journey began. Next stop, the logical choice, the Henry W. Grady School of Journalism at the University of Georgia. While Phil honed his writing and broadcasting skills, he walked on to the University of Georgia swim team as a diver, lettering 3 years on the boards for the Bulldogs. His senior year, Phil applied for an evening reporter position at WRFC Radio in Athens. Charles Giddens, who went on to become a GAB Hall of Famer, was the general manager. Giddens gave Phil his very first break on the air in radio.
WRFC Sports with Sports Director Phil Scoggins. Good evening. Last Sunday is...
Just before graduation, the sports director's job at WRFC opened up. Phil applied, and Giddens awarded him with the promotion. Phil's new job gave him a ringside seat in the broadcast booth, where he got to watch another GAB Hall of Famer, Larry Munson, work his magic calling the play-by-play for the Bulldogs. In the summer of 1976, Phil tried to make the leap into television news. He interviewed for a reporter's position at WRBL in Columbus. The news director was GAB Hall of Famer Dick McMichael. When Dick asked him for his take on the upcoming presidential election between Jimmy Carter and Gerald Ford, Phil stumbled with his answer, at which point Dick asked him to size up the Georgia football team. A long soliloquy followed, leading Dick to suggest Phil was better suited for sports. Phil did land a TV job that summer at WALB in Albany as a news photographer. 2 months later, Phil got a call from McMichael, this time offering him a sports position.
We'll start off with, Dick. 2 Floridians, Cindy Todd and Ricky McCormick.
Phil would spend the next 6 years covering sports for WRBL and WYEA in Columbus.
For the Georgia Bulldogs, it is indeed pre-sweetened. They have captured the 1980 Southeastern Conference Championship. They are the #1 ranked football team in the country. And on New Year's Day, they have a chance to lock up the national championship, the school's first ever. Hello, I'm Phil Scoggins. This weekend, right here at Callaway Gardens, one of the most intriguing sporting events in America will be staged, the 24th annual Masters Water Ski Tournament.
When Phil's children started to reach school age, he realized his TV sports schedule would interfere with time at home with his family. So he left broadcasting for 16 years. Following a prayer for career direction, the Lord opened a door for Phil to return to television in 1998. The WRBL news director at the time, Bob Page, offered Phil an evening anchor position. And that's where Phil has been for over 26 years, alongside his co-anchor, GAB Hall of Famer Teresa Whitaker. Over the course of Phil's TV news career, he's been committed to bringing viewers stories of faith.
Hello, I'm Phil Scoggins, along with Brent Tanamachi. We're standing on the Mount of Olives just across from the old city of Jerusalem.
On 9/11, he sought the perspective of a local pastor to help viewers deal with the tragedy that unfolded that day. His one-on-one interview with former President Jimmy Carter in 2009 focused on the role prayer played in the president's life when he was in the White House. For years, Phil produced a franchise called News 3 Neighbors. It was designed to counter a lot of negative news with some positive stories about folks doing good in their community, whose deeds often went unnoticed. In 2021, Phil teamed up with WRBL reporter Chuck Williams for extensive coverage of local Medal of Honor recipient Colonel Ralph Puckett. The coverage included a half-hour special from Washington, D.C. on the day Puckett was presented his medal at the White House. The special report received a GAB award.
Phil, you're passionate. You love to write. That is your specialty, and we know that. We know you're a perfectionist when it comes to journalism, and I appreciate you always trying to keep me grounded, spiritually grounded, and that's important to all of us, and not seeing that much in the newsroom. Congratulations, Phil. God bless.
Getting to work with him and watching how professional he is and how much he cares about people and how he takes the time to tell stories the right way and teach the new people. Look, I was a news director and he was teaching me things.
when I was 12 years old, 7th grade. We had career day, and none other than Phil Scoggins came to my classroom and talked to me personally about one day becoming a sports anchor.
He still goes out and shoots high school football for us in the fall. Phil has been an incredible mentor, teacher, and motivator.
When I first started in local news almost 20 years ago, the first person to welcome me on the air during my first live shot was Phil Scoggins. Phil, you're a great colleague, a great person, and an even better friend.
Phil is a man of utmost integrity. He lives his faith, very dedicated and loyal father, husband, and a great employee. Very deserving of the GAB Hall of Fame. Phil, good job.
He can take the most difficult story and put into it the compassion and care and faith of his heart and touches our entire community. He has the trust of the people, and whatever Phil says, people listen to and are blessed by in a very special way.
6.5 years, Phil helped talk me into punting a 3-decade newspaper career and coming over to the television side. It's been an incredible journey, but the highlight of that journey is, for those 6.5 years, I've gotten to sit next to Phil Scoggins, the guy you see on TV, the integrity, the trust, everything that comes out. I get to see it every day, and I'm a better human being for it.
Phil Scoggins is the kind of co-anchor you yearn for. Someone who believes in doing the right thing, someone with a spirit of excellence, someone who shares your values. I've had other co-anchors in my 37+ years here at WRBL, but none like Phil. We complement each other. I've learned from him, he's learned from me. When the chips are down, and they often are with a small staff, prayer is where we both turn. Phil, welcome to the Georgia Association of Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
To tell us more about Phil, please welcome Phil's daughter, Andrea Giamona.
Good evening. It's my great honor and pleasure to introduce to you a man with many titles: husband, dad, mentor, colleague, friend, to name a few. As a little girl, getting ahead of myself. It's nerves. However, the title that suits Phil Scoggins the most is Man of God. As a little girl, I can remember thinking it was the coolest thing that my dad was on TV. He was famous in a sense. Everywhere he went, whether it was to the grocery store, a restaurant, or even church, people would stop my dad and tell him how they loved watching him on the news or loved a story he had covered. Many times it was complete strangers who would stop him, and they would talk to him like they were lifelong friends. Dad would always graciously smile and listen to what they had to say, and then genuinely ask how they were doing or offer a kind word. After finishing the conversation and walking away, we would often ask, "Who is that?" A lot of times his response was, "I have no idea," as he would smile and laugh on the way to the car. Dad has a way of making a friend wherever he goes. As I've gotten older, I've really come to appreciate the effort and time that Dad puts into delivering the news, as well as the special stories he does. He strives to deliver truthful, unbiased news with excellence and professionalism, the way journalism was intended to be. He seeks to do stories that will uplift and encourage viewers and ultimately point them to the Lord. My dad is a man of character and integrity. He works hard and does everything as unto the Lord. I have had a front seat view of a loving and doting husband, a present and caring dad, a son who never failed to honor his parents. Your mom would be so proud, and so would Mary. And a friend who is always up to break bread and catch up. He is a role model and an example of living a life unto the Lord. No matter which hat he may be wearing, the love of his Savior always shines through, which brings me back to the title that suits him the most, Man of God. Most people don't share the impact that someone has made on them until that person is gone from this earth. However, tonight, Dad, we honor you. Congratulations on 35 years of broadcasting at the highest standard. I hope you know the lasting impact that you have had on countless lives, a few of whom are here to celebrate you tonight. I couldn't be more proud to call you my dad. I love you.
Whew. Baby, that was so sweet. Thank you for that special introduction. See if I can get through this now. President Randy and members of the Georgia Association of Broadcasters Board of Directors, the Hall of Fame Selection Committee, my heart is full tonight thanks to each one of you. To my fellow inductees, Holly, who until recently was working just up the hill from me at WTVM in Columbus, as well as Mark and Pete and Bob. What an honor to be inducted into this distinguished class tonight, and I congratulate each of you. I also want to congratulate each of our scholarship recipients tonight. Our industry is in good hands with the caliber of young people that we have pursuing broadcasting as a career. I'm so thankful to have my entire family with me tonight, my immediate family. You've already met my youngest daughter, Andrea. She's joined by her husband, David, and their 3 children, Isaac, Michael, and Eva. David's parents, Chaplain Dave Giamona and his wife, Esther, also with us this evening. My oldest daughter, India Jones, is here with her sons, Levi and Micah. My son Scott, joined by his wife Libby, along with their 3 children, Alyssa, Luke, and Jacob. And also tonight, Jacob's girlfriend, Noah Griffith. Today is her birthday, and she chose to celebrate it here tonight. We appreciate and honor your presence being with us here, Noah. Thank you so much. I'm also very proud to have my uncle, Rusty Smitherman, and his wife, Allison, here, all the way from Lafayette, Georgia, my hometown. Rusty is like a big brother to me. My sweet wife, Judy, the matriarch of our family, by my side again tonight, just where she has been now for over 52 years. My career has afforded me the opportunity to be in the spotlight quite often, but rarely has that opportunity come to Judy. And if it did, she would be very uncomfortable. That's just who she is. There's a popular song from decades ago, Wind Beneath My Wings, that captures some of the characteristics of my bride. The words say, I was the one with all the glory, while you were the one with all the strength. You were content to let me shine, that's your way. You always walked a step behind. Did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything I wish that I could be. I could fly higher than an eagle, for you, Judy, are the wind beneath my wings. Besides my regular family tonight, thank y'all. Besides my regular family tonight, I also have members of my TV family here with me. During my career as a news anchor, I have had 7 general managers. 2 of them are here this evening. One has come all the way from Panama City Beach, Florida. Tracy Rogers, our current general manager at WRBL, and also David Hart from Savannah, my former general manager, and joining him, Connor Hackling, our former news director at WRBL. They came a long way to be here tonight to help celebrate, and I appreciate that. I have a WRBL table of teammates here supporting me as well. I appreciate each one of you, Bob Jeswald, Chuck Williams, Tyneese Berry, Kevin Roble, Lisa Burton. The Sweet 16 is going on next door. They are my Elite Eight. For almost 27 years, I have been blessed to co-anchor the news with Teresa Whitaker. She loves good old-fashioned journalism. She has a deep passion for this industry, and she loves the Lord with all her heart. This time last year, Teresa was behind a podium similar to this one, giving her Hall of Fame induction speech. I recall the first time Teresa and I anchored a newscast together. It was September of 1998. Teresa started off reading her pre-tease, but when it got time for me to read my portion of the script, the prompter froze. So, not knowing exactly what to do, my first time on television, I just blurted out, "You betcha." Not exactly the most memorable way to launch your television career. Teresa, I have worked with you so long together, we actually anticipate each other's cues. We used to nudge each other under the desk if we were going to make a change in the reads in the script. Now we just intuitively know when the change is being made and how to appropriately respond. Teresa, it has been an incredible ride. And if you ask me if I would do it all over again, my definitive answer would be, you betcha. The location for this banquet holds special significance for me. We're not far from the old Greyhound bus station, or at least where it used to be. That's where Judy's family would pick me up back in our dating days before I could drive. We met when I was 14. All three of our children were born here in Atlanta. My two oldest at Crawford Long. Andrea was born at Piedmont during a snowstorm in January of 1982. Anyone remember that? I had to abandon my car off Interstate 75 not far from here and catch a bus to the hospital. I covered the Atlanta Braves when they played at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium just across the way. On one occasion, I remember asking Judy to shoot an interview with Dale Murphy for me. She obliged and came through like a champ. When the Omni was here, I recall going to a rodeo to watch my Aunt Mary barrel race. What a great memory that was and still is today, and I miss her so. 13 years ago, Judy and I celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary with a meal at the Sundial Restaurant. You can see it from here. Then we went on to a sold-out Neil Diamond concert at what was then Phillips Arena. You see, we're on holy, hallowed ground here tonight. I wish Mom and Dad were here. I hope some way they know what's going on here this evening. I can just hear my mom say, "That's my boy." Mom had a wonderful way with words, both spoken and written. I definitely inherited her love for writing. My journey along this path of broadcast journalism has indeed been ordered by the Lord. I have seen His hand guiding me throughout my career from day one. My first job in radio at WRFC in Athens afforded me the privilege of working, and this is incredible, working with three future Georgia Association of Broadcasters Hall of Famers: Charles Giddens, who was the general manager, Larry Munson, the voice of the Georgia Bulldogs, and Scott Miller, who cemented his spot in the Hall of Fame, working as a play-by-play announcer for Columbus State University. Scott and I actually had a morning show together at WRFC in Athens. I also had the distinct privilege of working with the incomparable Randy Reeves during our time at WRFC back in the mid-'70s. Randy was kind enough to do the voiceover for my video tonight. He's a distinguished member of the Georgia Radio Hall of Fame and a distinguished friend. Randy is just one example of the lifelong friendships I have made thanks to this wonderful world of broadcasting. My early radio and TV years allowed me to get to know broadcasting legends like Sanders Hickey, who's here tonight, and Georgia State Senator Ed Harbison. I'm thankful for my longtime friend Steve Beverly, who worked with me back in the 70s at WRBL. He went on to become a journalism professor. He and I still have a close friendship 50 years later. Also honored to have my dear friend and TV pastor, Reverend Jimmy Elder, and his wife Roxanne tonight. Jimmy has been a source of more news stories than I can count over the years. Thank you, Jimmy. I'm indebted to the teachers who poured into my life, starting with Mrs. Sylvia Chambliss, my high school speech teacher, whom you saw in the video tonight. Also at the University of Georgia, I trained under broadcast news professor Bill Martin. He took me under his wing and helped me to build my confidence. UGA film professor Al Wise taught me how to tell a story with a film camera, skills I still use to this day. I would be remiss if I didn't personally thank the late Dick McMichael for the impact that he had on my career. A GAB Hall of Famer, he gave me my first on-air TV job in sports. Dick passed away 2 months ago at the age of 94, and I was honored to speak at his funeral. I had just interviewed Dick 3 weeks before his death about his friendship with former President Jimmy Carter. And speaking of President Carter, 2 of his close friends and mine are here with me tonight, all the way from Plains, Jan and George Williams. Thank y'all for being here. One of the most powerful examples of the Lord intervening in my life and career happened in June of 1998. I had been out of television for 16 years, running my own video production company. I shot my own video and used WRBL's production suite for editing. One morning I was praying to the Lord about my future, asking for direction. I got a call from the editor who needed me to come to the station right away. When I got there, I ran into Bob Page, WRBL's news director at the time. Bob and his wife Lori are here tonight. Bob said he needed to speak with me. Once in his office, he told me he was making some changes to his anchor team and that the Lord had laid it on his heart to offer me the job. You could have knocked me over with a feather. I considered that a direct answer to my prayer a few hours earlier. 1 month later, I was on the anchor desk with my longtime co-anchor, Teresa Whitaker, where I've been for almost 27 years. When I was a young boy, I wanted to be an airline pilot. Poor vision, though, prevented me from fulfilling that dream. But tonight, thanks to all of you with the Georgia Association of Broadcasters, my spirit is soaring. I wanted to end tonight with the words of a song from Andre Crouch. It's called My Tribute. These words are the cry of my heart on this most special night that I will remember as long as I live. The song says, "How can I say thanks for the things you have done for me? Things so undeserved, yet you gave to prove your love for me. The voices of a million angels could not express my gratitude. All that I am and ever hope to be, I owe it all to thee. To God be the glory." Thank you.